Hey YouTube, this is Ron with Tech Refresh, and today I wanted to create a quick little video about my initial impressions from using the Essential phone that I picked up maybe like 3 or 4 days ago. But before we get into that, we're a pretty new channel, so if you like what you see, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe if you find this content useful. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. So let's just go ahead and get started with talking about or a little bit about the camera. It's definitely not good in low light. It gets a little grainy, but in I guess like daytime lighting or just like ideal lighting, it's just as good as any other phone, I would say. One of the things I don't really like about this is after you take a photo using the color sensor, it lags a little bit when it saves to the phone, and I think what it's doing is I guess it's processing the photo a little bit more. And this is after all of the latest updates that came out. But I'm gonna create a completely separate video outlining the my experiences with the camera, going a little bit more in depth with the actual quality of the photos in low lighting and I guess ideal lighting situations. And I'll have some sample photos and I'll have some sample photos of other phones that I've been testing it against. But more to come on that. One of the main things what I really really like about this phone is just basically the design and like the overall experience. Like first off like the design, like there's a really really good weight to this phone. It feels pretty high quality in your hand. This ceramic backside is really really nice. It has like a good feel to it, like a really really high quality feel, but I guess it gets fingerprints, but I guess anything shiny would get fingerprints. It doesn't really bother me that much. One of the things that I've noticed is that this phone is like super, super slippery, like in the hand. So, if you're the type of person that is a little bit more on the clumsy side, you'd probably want to get a case for it or maybe like a skin. And, I was actually searching for cases for this, but to be honest, there aren't a lot of accessories out there. Like, I don't really know why that is, but as far as like case availability, there aren't that many. I think I found like one or two different types of cases on Amazon. But what I did do is because I like the design so much, I just ordered a dbrand skin just to help with the fact that it's so slippery. I think I could feel a little bit more comfortable handling the phone if I had some type of like other texture. I ordered a matte finish. I don't really know how that's gonna feel yet, but I guess in my mind when I ordered it, it might feel a little bit more secure on my fingers because like sometimes, when I'm pulling this out of my pocket, I feel like it's just gonna slip out of my hand. So, for those that are kind of concerned about that, like me, you'd probably want to get some type of textured skin. But my absolute favorite thing about this phone is the screen. I really like how the screen's laid out, especially with the the minimal bezels, and I like how a lot of the apps kind of like manage this bezel at the top. Like if you have an app that doesn't really leverage the top of the bezel, like Chrome, it'll kind of like create this faux bezel, but it's, part of the screen, but it's just so it could hide the actual top of the where like the camera indent is. So it doesn't really look that bad. It just kind of looks like a normal phone. With an electronic bezel, I think that's really cool because, you still kind of get that full screen experience even if you have an app that isn't supported with this full screen. So this AccuWeather app looks like it's a little bit more compatible with this full screen, or it looks like it's configured it a little bit better. But, kind of looking at it from far away, it's really using the entire screen. Even up close, you can kind of see, I guess, the faint faux bezel or where the bezel typically would be, but it's not solid and you can kind of see through it. I feel like the experience is a lot better than other phones because it uses the entire screen. And my preference are phones with bigger screens. I feel like since this phone is pretty much all screen, I could still get that. big phone slash phablet experience in a smaller footprint. So, I think it's a really good use of space and, I enjoy it a lot. So that about wraps up my initial impressions from using this phone. But all in all, so far, I think it's a really, really cool phone. I enjoy using this a lot. Camera aside, I'm not really one to take a ton of photos anyways. Like the only time I really use my camera is taking photos to post on social media or taking photos to, send to friends and family. So the Essential Phone camera checks that box. I mean, it definitely has a good enough camera to do that. But I really think this phone needs to be revisited given the price drop. This is a really, really good value, especially for $499 at this price point. You're not really competing with the flagships anymore, in my opinion. I feel like you're really competing with mid-tier phones like the OnePlus 5 and I think like the OnePlus 5T is coming out sometime in November. So, I mean, if you're really comparing this to like a Google Pixel 2 or some of the newer iPhones like the new iPhone 8 or the new iPhone 10 that came out, you're probably going to get the same or similar performance and experience minus the super, super good camera and minus the dust proofing and waterproofing. So if those two things aren't really important to you, then you could probably save some cash by getting an Essential phone because you'd be getting like a really, really good phone and also a very, very good looking phone. So that's about it for my initial impressions. So as I was talking about earlier in the video, I'm in the process of creating a more in-depth review of the actual camera app in comparison with some other phones that I'm testing it against. So I'll be putting that out soon. But I mean, I hope this was helpful. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, just go ahead and leave it in the comments. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks again for watching. I'll talk to you guys later.